The ambush. Helio Station floated in the quiet darkness beyond the outer colonies, a research facility where scientists pushed the boundaries of physics while civilian support staff kept the infrastructure running. For 6 months, Sarah Kane had been one of those invisible people, logistics coordinator Kane, who scheduled cargo shipments, managed supply inventories, and filed endless reports that no one read. It was perfect cover for someone who needed to disappear. "You're thinking too hard again," Dr. Zaya Thorne observed, her blue fingers intertwined with Sarah's as they walked through the maintenance corridor toward their quarters. "I can practically hear your mind calculating something." "Just thinking about how lucky I am," Sarah said, and it wasn't entirely a lie. Watching Zaya's bioluminescent patterns glow soft purple, the Celeran expression of contentment, made 6 months of boring logistics work worth every second. They'd met in the commissary, both reaching for the last serving of something that barely qualified as food. Zaya's laugh when Sarah offered to split it had been like music. Coffee dates turned into long conversations about everything and nothing. Conversations became dinners. Dinners became nights spent together, talking until station cycles blurred. For the first time in 15 years of Black Ops, Sarah had felt human. Not an operator. Not a weapon. Just a woman falling in love with a brilliant scientist who made her believe in futures beyond the next mission. Lucky? Zaya's patterns shifted to teasing blue. "I'm the one who found someone willing to listen to me explain quantum mechanics for 3 hours without falling asleep. I like listening to you talk. Even when half of it goes over my head. Only half. I need to use more complex terminology." Zaya squeezed her hand. "My quarters or yours tonight?" "Yours. Your bed is more comfortable." "My bed is identical to yours, but I appreciate the..." The attack came from a junction ahead, 5 figures in tactical gear materializing from what should have been an empty corridor. Professional positioning, weapons drawn, the lead attacker already speaking into comms, targets acquired. The Celeran scientist and her companion. Easy extraction. Every instinct Sarah had spent 6 months suppressing roared to life. Threat assessment happened in microseconds, 5 hostiles, military-grade weapons, professional formation but arrogant, they thought this would be easy. Environmental analysis, maintenance corridor, exposed conduit overhead, emergency bulkhead 40 meters back, 3 potential improvised weapons within reach. Time to neutralize, estimated 8 seconds. "Behind me," Sarah said quietly, her tone completely different from anything Zaya had heard before, command voice that expected instant obedience. "Sarah, what? Now?" Sarah pushed Zaya behind her as the lead merc advanced, weapon trained on them but finger off the trigger, they wanted hostages alive. "Nobody has to get hurt," the merc said, gesturing with his weapon. "Dr. Thorne, you're coming with us. Your research consortium will pay good money for your return. Your girlfriend too, as a bonus." "Wrong target," Sarah said, her posture shifting microscopically. Zaya, pressed against her back, felt the change, muscles coiling, breathing pattern adjusting, the woman she'd been falling in love with transforming into something else entirely. The merc laughed. "What are you going to do, logistics coordinator? File a complaint report?" What happened next, Zaya would replay in her mind for months. Sarah moved. She closed the distance to the lead merc before he could process the threat, her hand striking his weapon arm at a nerve cluster that made his fingers spasm open. The weapon clattered to the deck. Sarah caught it mid-fall, used the grip to strike his temple, precisely calibrated force that rendered him unconscious without permanent damage. Elapsed time, 2.1 seconds. The second merc fired, wild, panicked shot that Sarah had already predicted. She dropped low and rolled, coming up with the captured weapon and firing twice, knee shots, non-lethal but completely incapacitating. Elapsed time, 4.3 seconds. The remaining 3 mercs tried to spread out, find cover, establish a crossfire. But Sarah had already assessed the environment. She triggered the emergency bulkhead behind them, cutting off their retreat, then used the exposed conduit overhead. A precisely thrown Merc's combat knife severed a coolant line, releasing a pressurized spray that blinded and disoriented them. She moved through the chaos like a ghost. Joint locks, pressure points, tactical strikes, each movement economical, precise, devastating. The third Merc went down with a dislocated shoulder. The fourth took an elbow to the solar plexus that dropped him gasping. The fifth tried to grab Zaya as a shield, but Sarah was already there, her grip on his wrist enabling a throw that sent him into the bulkhead hard enough to guarantee unconsciousness. Elapsed time, 7.8 seconds. Sarah stood in the center of 5 groaning mercenaries, not even breathing hard, the captured weapon held with casual expertise that spoke of thousands of hours of training. Then she heard Zaya's voice, small and shocked, "What, who are you?" Sarah turned to find the woman she loved pressed against the corridor wall, blue skin pale with fear, bioluminescent patterns flickering erratically, the Celeran equivalent of complete shock. "Zaya, I can explain." Boots echoed through the corridor. A tactical team appeared, moving with professional precision, Navy SEALs by their gear and formation. The team leader lowered his weapon when he saw the scene, then did a double take when he recognized Sarah. "Commander Kane." Lieutenant Garrett Hayes pulled off his helmet, his expression cycling between disbelief and awe. "They said you were Kia. Operation Ghost Wind, 18 months ago. We attended your memorial service." "I was Kia," Sarah said quietly, setting down the weapon with careful precision. "That person doesn't exist anymore. I'm just a logistics coordinator now." A logistics coordinator who just neutralized 5 armed hostiles in under 10 seconds using advanced ghost protocol techniques. Hayes' tone was respectful but firm. "With all due respect, Commander, that's not possible for someone who's just a logistics coordinator." Zaya made a small sound, confusion, fear, betrayal all mixed together. "Ghost protocol? Commander? Sarah, what is he talking about?" Sarah met Zaya's eyes across the corridor, seeing 6 months of careful trust shattering in real time. "I need to explain everything. But not here. Not like this. These mercs are part of a larger operation we've been tracking," Hayes interjected, gesturing for his team to secure the unconscious attackers. "Commander Kane, Sarah, we need to debrief. And given your operational status, this is going to get complicated." "Everything's already complicated," Zaya said, her voice breaking. "I don't even know who you are." "Yes, you do." Sarah took a step toward her, and Zaya flinched, actually flinched away from her. The movement felt like a blade. "Everything between us was real. The person you know, the woman you," she stopped, unable to finish that sentence with Hayes and his team listening. "That's real. This," she gestured at the unconscious mercs, "is just training I can't forget. Skills I can't unlearn. But it's not all I am." "Then who are you?" Zaya's patterns flashed through distressed colors. "Really?" Sarah took a breath, dropping every pretense, every cover story, every lie of omission she'd maintained for 6 months. "My name is Commander Sarah Kane. Call sign, Wraith. For 15 years, I ran Ghost Protocol, the most classified Black Ops unit in military intelligence. I've conducted operations on 17 worlds that will never appear in any official record. I've done things I can't talk about in places that don't officially exist. 18 months ago, my last mission went wrong. My entire team was killed. I was reported Kia to protect operational security." She met Zaya's eyes, letting her see the truth, all of it. "I came to Helio Station to disappear. To be someone other than a weapon. To find out if I could be just, human. And then I met you, and for 6 months, I was. Just Sarah. Just a woman falling in love." The word, love, hung in the corridor like a confession and an accusation. Hayes cleared his throat uncomfortably. "Commander, we need to secure these prisoners and debrief. Dr. Thorne will need protective custody until we determine if she's still a target." She's with me, Sarah said, her voice carrying absolute authority that made Hayes instinctively nod. Nobody touches her. Nobody questions her without my presence. Are we clear, Lieutenant? Crystal, Commander. Sarah turned back to Zaya, who was watching this exchange with wide violet eyes. Zaya, I know you're scared. I know I've lied to you by omission. But please, let me explain everything. Give me that chance. Zaya looked at her, really looked at her, seeing past the logistics coordinator to the operator beneath, processing everything she'd witnessed in less than 10 seconds of brutal efficiency. Finally, she nodded. Explain. But Sarah, her patterns flashed with something between fear and determination. If you lie to me again, if you hide anything else, we're done. I need complete truth. Can you give me that? Yes. Sarah's answer was immediate, absolute. No more secrets. No more cover. Just truth, even when it's hard. Then let's go somewhere we can talk. Zaya's voice was steady despite her pattern still flickering with distress. Because I have about 1,000 questions, and, who are you really, is just the beginning. As Hayes's team secured the mercs and Sarah guided Zaya toward a secure debriefing room, she felt the weight of 18 months of hiding finally lifting, and the terrifying possibility that the truth might cost her the one thing that had made her want to stay alive. The woman she loved had just watched her kill, or close enough, 5 people in 8 seconds. Some truths, Sarah knew, relationships couldn't survive. But she had to try. Because losing Zaya would be worse than any mission failure, any combat loss, any nightmare that haunted her from her Ghost Protocol days. She'd survived being a weapon. She wasn't sure she could survive losing the woman who'd made her feel human again. Truth and consequences. The debriefing room was sterile, gray walls, a single table, 2 chairs, and a one-way observation window where Sarah knew Lieutenant Hayes and his team were watching. She'd been in rooms like this hundreds of times, but never on this side of the truth. Never with someone she loved looking at her like they didn't know her at all. Zaya sat across the table, her bioluminescent patterns cycling through colors Sarah had learned over 6 months, distressed blue, confused purple, hurt silver. But beneath it all, something steady, determination. The scientist in Zaya needed data, needed to understand variables, needed to make sense of chaos. Start from the beginning, Zaya said, her voice carefully controlled. Who is Commander Sarah Kane? Sarah took a breath and dropped every wall. I enlisted at 18, angry kid from a broken home who needed structure. Turned out I was exceptional at things the military values, tactical thinking, physical conditioning, the ability to make hard decisions under pressure. By 23, I was in special operations. By 26, I'd been recruited into Ghost Protocol. What is Ghost Protocol? A unit that doesn't officially exist. We handle situations where conventional military, intelligence agencies, even other special operations units can't operate. Extractions from hostile worlds. Eliminations of high-value targets. Intelligence gathering in places where getting caught means interstellar incidents. Sarah met Zaya's eyes. We were the people governments called when they needed something done but couldn't be connected to it. You were assassins, Zaya said flatly. Sometimes. Other times we were rescuers, intelligence operatives, tactical advisors. We were whatever the mission required. Sarah didn't flinch from the judgment in Zaya's tone. For 12 years, I ran that unit. I was good at it. Too good. They called me Wraith because I could ghost through impossible situations and complete objectives that shouldn't have been possible. What happened 18 months ago? This was the part Sarah had nightmares about. Operation Ghost Wind. We were extracting a deep cover agent from a hostile corporate facility. Intelligence said light security, routine operation. It was a trap. Someone sold us out, fed bad intel, compromised our insertion point, led us into a kill box. Her voice remained steady through force of will. My team, 8 of the best operators I've ever known, died in 17 minutes of sustained combat. I only survived because our tech specialist, Marcus, hacked their security systems long enough to give me an escape route. His last words were, "Run, Wraith. Someone has to survive to figure out who betrayed us." Zaya's patterns softened slightly. The scientist understood survivor's guilt. "And you've been hiding ever since?" "Command reported me Kia to protect operational security and give me cover while we investigated the leak. But I was done, Zaya. I'd spent 12 years being a weapon, and I'd lost everyone who mattered to prove what? That I could kill efficiently. That I could complete impossible missions." Sarah's voice cracked. "I took the out. Became Sarah Kane, Civilian Logistics Coordinator. Came to Helio Station because it was remote, boring, and about as far from Ghost Protocol as I could get. And then you met me." Zaya's tone was unreadable. "And then I met you, and for 6 months, I was just Sarah. Not Commander Kane. Not Wraith. Just a woman who liked listening to you talk about quantum mechanics even though half of it went over my head. A woman who looked forward to your messages. A woman who was falling in love." Sarah leaned forward. "Everything between us was real, Zaya. The only lie was omission, not telling you who I used to be." "Who you used to be?" Zaya's laugh was bitter. "Sarah, I watched you neutralize 5 armed mercenaries in less than 10 seconds. That's not used to be. That's who you are right now. It's training I can't forget. It's more than that." Zaya's patterns flared with frustrated red. "The way you moved, the precision, the absolute confidence, that's not just training. That's integrated into who you are at a cellular level. You're a warrior, Sarah. A killer. And I've been falling in love with you thinking you were a logistics coordinator who liked my jokes and made me feel safe. You are safe with me. Am I?" Zaya's voice broke. "Because watching you tonight was terrifying. Seeing how easily you transition from the gentle woman I know to whatever that was. How do I reconcile those two people? How do I trust that the woman I'm falling for won't one day look at me with that same cold tactical assessment you gave those mercenaries? Because I love you." Sarah's control shattered. "Because you're the reason I wanted to stay hidden, to be just Sarah instead of Wraith. Because for 6 months, you made me feel human again instead of like a weapon that killed everyone it touched. You think I don't know how terrifying I am? You think I don't wake up scared of what I'm capable of?" The door opened. Lieutenant Hayes entered with a data pad, his expression grim. "Commander, we need to talk." "Dr. Thorne, you too. Can this wait?" Sarah's tone was sharp. "No." Hayes activated the data pad, displaying intel reports. "The mercs we captured are part of a larger operation. They weren't just after random hostages for ransom. They were targeting Dr. Thorne specifically." Zaya's patterns paled. "Why?" "Your research on quantum drive technology. Apparently, several hostile corporate entities and at least 2 foreign governments want it badly enough to fund a major operation." Hayes pulled up schematics. "They're planning to hit Helio Station in 72 hours. 6 merc teams, over 40 operators, with the objective of stealing your research data and extracting you for forced cooperation." "That's," Zaya stared at the data. "That's insane. My research is theoretical. It's years from practical application. Doesn't matter. Whoever has it first gets a massive strategic advantage." Hayes looked at Sarah. "Commander, we need your help. My SEAL team is good, but this is Ghost Protocol level complexity. Multiple entry points, civilian population to protect, high-value scientific assets to secure. We need someone who thinks like these mercs, who can anticipate their tactics." "I'm done with operations," Sarah said flatly. "Sarah." Zaya's voice was quiet. "If they're coming for my research, they're coming for me. My colleagues, my friends, everyone on this station is at risk because of my work. Then we evacuate you. Get you somewhere safe. And abandon everyone else. Zaya's patterns flashed with determination. That's not who I am. I won't run while others are in danger because of me. Then I'll protect you myself. We'll both leave. Commander Kane. Hayes's tone was respectful but firm. With respect, you're one person. This requires coordinated tactical response. We need your expertise, your operational experience. You're the best chance we have to stop this with minimal casualties. Sarah looked between Hayes and Zaya, feeling the carefully constructed life she'd built over 6 months crumbling. If she refused, people would die. Zaya could die. But if she agreed, she'd have to fully become Wraith again, the operator, the tactical asset, the weapon. Sarah. Zaya reached across the table, her cooler blue hand covering Sarah's. I'm terrified of who you are. Of what you're capable of. But I'm more terrified of losing you, of watching this station fall because you were trying to protect me from the truth. Her patterns shifted to determined purple. You're a warrior. That's part of who you are. Maybe it's time to stop running from it. If I do this, if I become Wraith again. Sarah's voice was raw. I don't know if I can come back. If I can be just Sarah after. Then don't be just Sarah. Zaya's grip tightened. Be both. The gentle woman who listens to me talk about science, and the warrior who protects people. Why do they have to be separate? Hayes cleared his throat. Commander, I need an answer. We have 72 hours to prepare. Sarah looked at Zaya, at the woman she loved, who was scared but choosing courage, who was asking her to be authentic instead of hiding. She thought about Marcus's last words, someone has to survive. Not to keep hiding. To keep fighting for things that mattered. Okay. Sarah's voice steadied, command authority returning. But I have conditions. Dr. Thorne stays in a secure location during the operation. She's protected at all costs. And Hayes, when this is over, my cover stays intact. I'm still just a logistics coordinator. Clear. Crystal, Commander. Sarah turned back to Zaya. We need to talk. After the tactical planning, after Hayes leaves. Just you and me. I'll be in my lab, Zaya said. Securing my research, backing up data. When you're done saving the station, come find me. We'll figure out what happens next. After Hayes left to brief his team, Sarah and Zaya stood alone in the debriefing room. The observation window was dark now, giving them privacy. I'm sorry, Sarah said quietly. For lying by omission. For letting you fall for someone who wasn't complete. You weren't lying. Zaya stepped closer, her patterns soft purple. The woman I fell for is real. I just didn't know she came with training that makes her the most dangerous person in this sector. She reached up, cupping Sarah's face. That's terrifying. But it's also, you saved my life tonight, Sarah. Without hesitation. Without even thinking. That matters. I'll always protect you, Sarah promised. I know. That's what scares me, that you'd sacrifice yourself without question. Warriors do that. Zaya's thumb traced Sarah's cheekbone. But I need you to survive, Sarah. To come back. To give us a chance to figure out what we are after all this truth. What do you want us to be? Sarah asked. Honest. Complete. Both of us, all of who we are. Zaya pulled her into a kiss, desperate, fierce, full of fear and hope and 6 months of feelings that had become undeniable. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. Go plan your operation, Commander. Save the station. Protect my research. Then come back to me, and we'll figure out if love is strong enough to survive truth. And if it's not. Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. Then at least we'll know we tried. Zaya kissed her once more, gentle this time. But I think it will be. Because I'm falling in love with all of you, Sarah. Even the parts that terrify me. Especially those parts, because they're what kept me alive tonight. She stepped back, her patterns glowing with determination and affection mixed together. Now go. Be Wraith. Save us all. I'll be waiting in my lab, trusting that the warrior and the woman I love are the same person, just with different skill sets. Sarah watched her leave, feeling something shift in her chest. For 18 months, she'd been running from who she was. Maybe it was time to stop running. To integrate instead of separate. To be both Sarah and Wraith. To prove that warriors could love, and lovers could be warriors, and truth, even painful truth, was stronger than comfortable lies. She activated her calm, "Hayes, this is Kane. I'm in. Let's plan this operation. And Lieutenant? We're going to need a very specific tactical approach. These mercs think they're hunting scientists. Time to show them what happens when scientists are protected by ghosts." Outside, the station continued its daily rhythms, unaware that in 72 hours, it would become a battlefield. But this time, the defenders had a ghost on their side. And Wraith never failed a mission that mattered. Especially not when the woman she loved was counting on her to come back alive. Resolution and acceptance. 72 hours passed in a blur of tactical planning. Sarah transformed from civilian logistics coordinator to Ghost Protocol commander so seamlessly that Hayes' SEAL team watched in awe. She knew the station's infrastructure better than anyone. 6 months of boring logistics work meant she'd memorized every corridor, every maintenance shaft, every potential choke point and ambush location. They'll hit simultaneously at these 5 entry points, Sarah explained, marking the holographic station layout. Standard Merc doctrine, overwhelming force, multiple vectors, confusion and chaos. But they're expecting minimal resistance. Station security is undertrained and under-equipped. They're not expecting Navy SEALs. And they're definitely not expecting you, Hayes added with something like reverence. Commander, your tactical assessment is. I've never seen anything like it. You have. You just didn't know it was me. Sarah pulled up logistics reports she'd filed over 6 months, seemingly mundane shipping schedules that had actually been mapping station security vulnerabilities, supply inventories that tracked available defensive resources, maintenance schedules that revealed optimal defensive positions. I've been analyzing this station since day one. Old habits. You've been preparing for this scenario for 6 months. Without even knowing it would happen. Tactical awareness doesn't turn off just because you're in civilian cover. Sarah's smile was grim. Warriors don't stop being warriors. We just redirect the skill set. The operation unfolded with precision that would become SEAL training legend. Sarah's intelligence was perfect, she'd predicted every merc entry point, every tactical decision, every contingency. Hayes' team, augmented by station security Sarah had personally trained over the previous 72 hours, executed the defense flawlessly. But Zaya complicated everything. Dr. Thorne refuses to evacuate her lab, Hayes reported over comms as the operation began. She says her research backup protocols require her physical presence for security authentication. She won't leave. Sarah felt ice in her veins. Get her out. That's a direct order. She's not military, Commander. I can't force her. Sarah switched channels. Zaya, what the hell are you doing? My job. Zaya's voice was calm despite weapon fire audible in the background. If they get my research, everything you're fighting for is pointless. I'm implementing quantum encryption that requires my biometric confirmation every 30 seconds. They can't steal what they can't decrypt. You're in the middle of a combat zone. Then I guess you better make sure they don't get to my lab. A pause, then softer, I trust you, Sarah. Come get me when it's over. For the next 43 minutes, Sarah operated on 2 levels, coordinating the overall defense while personally ensuring no merc got within 3 corridors of Zaya's lab. She moved like her call sign suggested, a ghost, appearing where threats emerged, neutralizing them with brutal efficiency, then vanishing before anyone could track her movements. Hayes's team handled the main assault. Sarah handled everything that slipped through. When the last merc was captured and the station declared secure, Sarah was covered in sweat and someone else's blood, her hands shaking with adrenaline crash, but Zaya's lab was untouched. She found the Celeran scientist still at her console, quantum encryption protocols running, her blue skin pale with exhaustion but her patterns glowing steady purple, determination fulfilled. "It's over," Sarah said from the doorway. "You're safe." Zaya looked up, and her expression cycled through relief, love, and lingering fear. "You came back. I promised I would." Sarah stayed in the doorway, suddenly unsure. "Your research is secure. Station casualties were minimal, 3 injuries, no fatalities. The mercs are in custody."